What's going on? I'm gonna give it like a few minutes to see. I'm gonna give it a few minutes to see how many people get in. I did this randomly. Just was bored. There's a lot of things going on with the Pistons, so I thought, you know what, let's go ahead. And we haven't had one of these in a minute, so very random. So I'm gonna give it a few minutes and see if people flood in or not. How you feeling, Dominic? How you feeling? What's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Giving it a few minutes. We're gonna give it probably like 3 to 5 minutes. Keep telling us to reload. You guys, everyone that's in here, you guys see it? It's good. Yeah, I did the live because, like I said, I was sitting here bored. I have nothing else to do, and there's a lot of, negativity going on with the Pistons. There's a lot of, it's been tough the last few weeks, last few games. So I said, you know what, let's just go live. I haven't done one of these in a minute, and give people a few minutes to get in here, and we can just all talk about the Pistons right now and just where we're at and how's everybody feeling about the team at this point. So, like I said, I'm going to give it a few minutes. If you guys have any questions you guys want to ask, you guys go ahead and ask them. But I'm going to give it a few minutes before I really get into everything I want to talk about, because this was random. I didn't tell everybody. Didn't tell anybody this was happening. So it is very random that we're doing this. So I just want to give everybody a few minutes to get in here, see that I'm live, see the channel's live, and they can hop in here. Can't watch them. Yeah, it's been a tough watch. It's been a tough watch for sure, especially that past game against the Bucks. That was really bad. You were 8 when they last won a playoff game. Yeah, I think I was. How was I? Also 8. I think I was 9. I think I was 9 last time they won a playoff game. Yeah, I think so. I think I was 9. Thank you for still supporting, man. Fire Casey. We'll talk about that in a minute. Cade going to the basket. At least we had that last year. Yeah, Cade definitely. What's up, man? What's going on, Detroit Zay? What's going on? Cade last year made it very much more fun to watch, and he 100% would have made it more fun to watch this year. But it's tough. Yeah, well, Jody, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. I had to stay up until midnight here in the UK to watch every game. It's so bad. I look. I've watched every game still. I know a lot of Pistons fans have tuned out, but I also know a lot of Pistons fans have continued to watch every day. And look, that's big time. For you got to be a hell of a fan to sit down and continue and want to watch this team every day. I've watched every game. I did tune out early in the Bucks game, but I've watched every game, and I know a lot of you guys have as well. So, hey man, take some pride in that. No, yeah, you guys. There's a lot of Pistons fans that I've been in contact with in the comments and the DMs on Twitter that are from the UK, Australia, overseas, like all kinds of different areas overseas that are staying up late to still watch this team despite the fact of how bad they've been. So Pistons got some diehard fans, not just in Detroit, in Michigan, but really like across just everywhere. It's crazy. I didn't think that the Pistons had that type of fandom across the ocean, but they have some everywhere. All right, so we got 27 people in here. I think that's enough to start talking about what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully everyone that sees that's live starts to flood in a little bit more. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, for those of you guys that are already in here, stayed up until 4 a.m. to watch the team lose by 4. Yeah, it was tough, dude. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, and again, only 27 of you guys in here. We usually have like 2,000 views on episode. I know it wavers up and down because it depends on how bad the team played the night before, whatever. But we have we have a pretty large base over on YouTube along with podcast platforms. I'm gonna make this announcement on the next podcast episode. But from here on out, for the rest of this year, I'm going to try. We as a community, I'm going to try help the community. We're going to try to be a little bit more positive about the team. And I know they're 12-37. We've talked a lot about how bad the defense is. They're without Cade. And I just want to say it one more time, how bad the defense has been, because it really has been. But it's only January, man, and when the Pistons stop playing in the summer, we're all going to be sitting here like, man, we wish we had some Pistons basketball to watch, man. We wish we could watch some games. Like we know that's where we're going to be at. So from here on out on this podcast, we're going to try to at least one segment every episode, the beginning of the segment, we're going to try to start off with something positive, something happy to look forward to, something happy that happened, something good that happened. Just we're going to try to be every bit as positive as possible. Yeah, go ahead, get these likes up real quick, everybody in here. Everyone like the live real quick. But yeah, that's something I wanted to announce to you guys that made it in here. Also, we're going to be trying, I'm going to start planning these out more often because I do come very randomly just make a live and just come on here when I get bored, whatever. So I am going to start making these. I'm thinking about making this a weekly thing. I just go live on the channel and just talk with you guys, and we just come in here and we have a safe space and we talk. So we might start doing that weekly. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that we're going to start trying to be a lot more positive on the podcast, and I'm going to try to inject some more positivity into the community. Because I realize that it is a tough season. It's been tough to watch, but you know, we don't need each other making it tough on each other even more than it already is. So we're going to try to be a little bit more positive. On that note, let's talk about Dwayne Casey for those of you guys who are in here. So if you guys didn't listen to this last episode, we recorded with Joe Truck, who I first started recording podcasts with like 5 years ago at #Pistons Podcast, where you guys found me. That's where a lot of you guys found me and suggested me to be the new host for Locked On Pistons at. So we recorded this past episode with him. If you haven't listened to it, definitely go listen to it. But he said something in that podcast, and I'm going to answer all of you guys' questions. I just want to get this out real quick. He said something on this last podcast episode that I really thought that I thought was really insightful. And I want to talk about it. Is that, am I the biggest fan of Dwayne Casey? No. A few episodes ago, I basically called for the man's job. Like, just to be blank about it. Like, that's basically what I did a few episodes ago. The team's bad. But the team has been bad for 4 years. And for the previous 3 years, Dwayne Casey was still able, despite the fact that the team was outright tanking, basically. Despite that fact, he was able to get them to buy in, everyone on the team, to play defense and to try hard. They weren't a top half defensive team. They're like 23rd, 19th. They were respectable defensively, and he was able to get them to buy into all of that for the last 3 years. This year, it's not working. So I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable to say that Dwayne Casey has done just about everything he can. Like, the biggest positive that he has is getting guys to buy into defense and buy in to play hard and follow his lead and want to play hard for him. And for a team that's been outright tanking for 4 years, he was able to get that for 3 years. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that because he was able to make it work for 3 years. 3 years, he was able to get them to play hard and play defense, despite the fact they didn't have a lot of talent. Maybe not a lot of great defenders, but still, they played hard. And they played hard defensively for 3 years. It's hard to expect to get a guy to do that for 4 straight years. And it seems like, to me, we brought it up with all the numbers and everything. We've talked all about it. I think in this 4th year that his voice might finally be getting tuned out. Finally, it's gotten to a point after 4 years. Now it's finally run its course to where he's not able to get that out of these guys now. And I don't know. I know we ripped Dwayne Casey to shreds a few episodes ago, but looking back on it right now, does he still deserve a lot of criticism? Yes, I do think Dwayne Casey deserves his criticism. But it might say more about the players that he was able to get all these other players for 3 years to buy into this defense and play hard. And now this year, he simply can't. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. A lot of credit for getting them to play hard the last 3 years. But this year, I think it's starting to see that his voice might just be getting tuned out. It might be just time for a different voice. So yeah, I do need a mod. That I just saw that. I do need a mod. We'll get that. I don't really know how to make anyone a mod. I don't really know how to work that. Once we start doing these more, I'll start doing it. But yeah, that's basically what I want to come on here and say, man, is that Dwayne Casey for 3 years was able to just get guys to buy in and motivate them to play defense. It's hard to ask him to do it for 4, 5, 6 straight years on teams that have no defenders, have not a lot of talent. And most of the players know that they're outright losing. Like, they basically, a lot of these players are aware of that. And despite that fact, he was able to get them to play really hard for 3 years. And now it's just, I think it's ran its course, and now it's going to be hard to do it. So that's where I wanted to start it off with. And if you guys have questions, now you guys can ask them. I'll answer all of them. We can talk about it. But that's why I wanted to start off the live. I wanted to start it there and just give my thoughts on that because Joe said that and it actually made a lot of sense to me. I didn't think about it that way. So I wanted to be fair with that. All right, let me look at the chat real quick. Can someone ease my worries that Jaden Ivey won't get much better than worst version of Russell Westbrook without just saying, come on, he's a rookie? All right, so I have Jaden Ivey's stats up actually right here. From now on, I'm going to be talking about Jaden Ivey, I believe, probably at the beginning of each podcast episode. So one of the things about Jaden Ivey that you should feel really happy about is despite the fact that he's been a little bit inefficient, he has been, and the defensive issues, despite that, as a rookie, he is putting up 15, 4, and 4 on not just straight up terrible efficiency. He's still above 50% true shooting percentage. And over this past month, he's played 10 games in January. In January, he's averaging the most assists of any month. He's at 5.7 assists per game. And this past game against the Bucks, I know it was a blowout, but he had 11 assists. I think his passing has been better than a lot of us thought it was going to be. He has a lot of stuff he has to work on, of course. He's a rookie. But I think his passing is a lot better than a lot of us thought it was going to be initially. And his ability to get to the basket and draw free throws is legit. So I think that is a lot of stuff to be happy about and look forward with Jaden Ivey. And just his pure athleticism. It's not like some of the Pistons I've ever had. So every night I feel like he does something that's just like, man, we haven't seen that much in the Pistons uniform. So I think you can take all of that and be happy with Jaden Ivey while also acknowledging that he does have stuff he has to work on. I think that's fine too. I salute you for doing the show. It got to be tough to keep the energy. It does get tough sometimes. It does. I'm not going to lie to you. It does get tough sometimes, but at the end of the day, this is my job, and I love the Pistons, so going to do it. Did I see that KOC said he'd take Giddey over Cade in a redraft? KOC is a fellow Killian stan with me, so I'm not going to criticize him too harshly here. But I told you guys when Cade went down that this was going to start happening. Cade went down. Now he's going to be forgotten about, just like SGA was forgotten about when he didn't play. I believe it was last year or 2 years ago. They're going to get forgotten about. They're going to start getting out of pocket with it. And Cade's going to shut them all up when he comes back next year. They're going to realize. They're going to see. Can't wait for it. Cade was drafted number 1 for a reason. He's going to show why he's the best prospect in that draft, best player from that class. So it is what it is. Who's the vocal leader on defense? It has to be Isaiah Stewart at this point. And I think that's something I've seen him be really vocal with guys. I've seen him actually get like pretty demonstrative with some of his guys defensively, and I like that. I like the fact he's trying to hold guys accountable. I just don't know how much that can actually help with this team. If you manage to find some positive out of these games, then fair enough. Hey, we're going to try. We're going to try. Who do y'all want for a new coach? Let me know in the comments right here in the chat. Who do you guys want as a new coach? If there's anyone you guys even think of. I know a lot of people probably just don't even know. A lot of head coaching candidates come out of nowhere. But if you have someone in mind, let me know. Now, what's up, Effortless? What really sucks is the Lions was balling, then later see the Pistons get demolished. It's so heartbreaking. Yeah, it's tough. What's up, Civil? What's going on, man? At some point, you can't motivate dudes anymore. Losing is demoralizing and as hell, especially when the light at the end of the tunnel is ways away. Yeah, that's basically. I agree. That's basically what's been going on. At a certain point, losing is going to take an effect on guys and a coaching staff and eventually the voice that you're being. That you're hearing every single day of practice. And eventually, losing like this is going to get it. You're going to see the product of it, and I think we're starting to see that now with this team and this coaching staff right now. A younger coach don't get their face and challenge their pride. Maybe we'll see. You may Udoka on some career resurrection agenda. I don't know if the Pistons would want to mess with Udoka with what happened with all that. Who is the best prospect besides Victor and Scoot? So, Scant, we're going to be having some draft guys here soon. Maybe this week or next week. We're going to get some guys on to talk about some guys outside of Victor and Scoot to get an idea on them. So, stay tuned for that. We're going to get into draft a little early now. Troy Weaver, all right, calm down. Do you think the talent level was overrated at the beginning of the season? You don't have to include the qualifier that Cade is out for the season. I told you guys in the offseason, I didn't think this was a very good team talent-wise. They're very young. They got rid of objectively probably their best player in Jeremy Grant this past season, at least until Cade turned it on in the second half of the season. So getting rid of him and then replacing him with young guys and getting even younger. Young guys aren't going to play a lot of defense. So, I mean, that was just something that was going to happen. Now, I didn't think it would be this bad, but I think talent level might have been a little overrated by the fans because a lot of them thought play-in was possible. I never thought that was possible. But I think they got a nice young core to be happy about, with Cade, Ivy, Duren, and then maybe 1 or 2 of the 2020 class. I think that's a fine core along with this next pick coming up. So I don't know, maybe a little bit. Killian ceiling with the Pistons versus ceiling with another team. I'm really high on Killian. You guys know that. I think with another team, depending on what the other team is, I think he's a starting guard. He could become a starting guard and a high level starting guard for another team. With the Pistons, I think it's 6-man is his ceiling. I don't think he ever gets more than that with this team, no matter how much better he gets. Brad Stevens, take it easy. Kenny Atkinson is a good one. I've thought about Kenny Atkinson a lot. So that's definitely one I've thought of. Do you think the Pistons made a mistake in not pursuing Rui Hachimura? Would I have pursued him? Yes. Because I think he's a better version of Sadiq Bey right now. He's shooting 55% on twos. He's an incredible mid-range shooter. He's shooting 47% from the field. He's good at creating his own shot. He also struggles on defense, and he's inconsistent three-point shooter. But I think he basically does what Sadiq Bey's trying to do right now better. So I would have been interested in him. I don't think it's some huge mistake not to go after him, but I would have been interested in him, yeah. Quinn Snyder or Atkins. Yeah, Quinn Snyder also is another good one, but I don't know if Quinn Snyder would want to come to a team like on the ups. I think he might want to just come back to a team that's ready to compete, but who knows? At this good thing the Tigers would be good. I don't follow baseball a lot, so you guys gotta let me know about that. Brandon Miller or Nick Smith Jr. That Brandon Miller is someone I've heard a lot. Our draft guy at Locked On, he's very high on Brandon Miller. Detroit's whole start is to give away all our good players all the time, or a whole strat. It's to build. They give away the good players to get assets to build a good young core that can grow together and actually get a good team together. I think they've done I think they've done an okay job of that right now. But again, I've talked about it a lot. I think this summer is the one where it really. I think this summer is the one where it really matters, where you really are going to see if it's the right moves or not. I've been hoping for years now they would bring back in one of the Bad Boys alumni for the head coaching positions, either Lambeer, Zeke, Dumars. I'm not interested in any of them. I think this team needs a young coach. I think they need a young coach that's hip with the times, hip with this era of basketball, this era of basketball player, this era of kids, because the Pistons have a lot of kids. I think that's what they need. I think they need someone like that. So I'm not too interested in any of the alumni guys. Rex Kalamian already runs out in front of Dwayne in timeouts. I think Rex controls like the offense part, right? And then Jerome Allen has the defensive parts, right? I think so. Would you trade our first round pick if it isn't number 1 for a star this summer? If it's number 2, I'm taking Scoot. Outside of that, I would. It depends what the star is. It would have to be a star wing player, because if it's not Scoot or Wemby, I'm getting a wing and a wing heavy draft. So you would have to be offering like a pretty high level wing for me. What's up, Joe? What's going on? Number 1 draft pick 2023. Hopefully so. Steve Nash, not really. I don't know if Steve Nash got the right a real fair shot in Brooklyn, but also I don't know if he's actually a good coach anyways. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. I would prefer to keep Burks, mentor these young guys. I get worried about K being injury prone. Yeah, Burks, I definitely could see being on this team next year as a good piece off the bench. You think Cade could be even better due to fixing? Yes, I do. I think Cade's going to come back next year healthier than ever, better than ever. And I'm really excited for it. Really excited for it. I wouldn't trade the first round pick guy. Keep building the young core. Well, Joe, so this is another thing we're going to talk about on the podcast soon. Real quick, before we keep going, all of you guys who are in here, I appreciate all of you guys. If you guys could do me a favor, if you guys could go on whatever podcast platform you have, whether that's Apple Podcasts, I really appreciate Apple Podcasts. If you guys could go to whatever podcast platform and leave a 5-star review for the podcast and leave a review, I'd really appreciate that. All of you guys who can, go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review. I really would appreciate that. I love the fact that you guys all sub and come and listen to every episode on the YouTube channel, but just asking for a favor, you guys could go, if you guys could go leave a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts and leave a review. I'd really appreciate that. Try to get that rating go even higher. It was at like 3.8 when I took over. We got it up to a 4.3 right now. We're trying to get it even higher. So if you guys could go do that, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, it depends if you don't get 1 or 2 and you want to trade the pick, it all depends, because I'm starting to believe, and one of you guys has mentioned it. I think it's Basil just mentioned it. I'm starting to, and look, people are going to, I don't know if this is really negative or not, but I'm starting to see a future where next season may not be as successful. Yeah, it's called Locked On Pistons on all podcast platforms. I appreciate it. But I'm starting to see a future next year where it doesn't go as positive as some fans may think. But it all depends on what Troy Weaver's trying to do. It depends. Like if he's going to spend this offseason getting vets that can play right now and help Cade win, then yes. But if his idea is to continue to add more young people, more young players to the young core, I think it might be another, tough year. Maybe not as bad as this year. I think they can get to 30 plus wins, but it just depends which route he's going to do with this cap space and these picks. Because if his idea is next year he wants to compete for a playoff win, I don't think you see as many young guys. I think you start to see this team get a little bit older. But if he thinks that this young core isn't complete yet, they need a stronger young core, then I think I don't know. I just don't know how that will go next year. So I'm really interested to see what route he goes. And I think whether he trades Bojan and Burks will give you a little bit of an idea too at the deadline. Where's the next one? My take: there is a coaching change coming this year and next year. It's too early to give up on Deke, Stu, etc. We've seen coaches turn around defenses, so give them a shot with the new coaching staff. That's fair. I could see that happening. But I from what I understand and from what I know, they really love Dwayne Casey. Really love Dwayne Casey. Big fans. So I don't know if he ever actually gets fired. I think part of me feels like the only way Dwayne Casey ever leaves is if he chooses to leave himself. I think that's the at least as of right now for me. Now I could be wrong, but based off my understanding, what I think that's the only way you see him leave is when he eventually says, "I don't want to coach anymore," and then he'll eventually go into the front office. I saw your tweet about the Pistons. Yeah, we just talked about that. Yeah, I just feel like adding more young talent just isn't the move. Again, like I said, it just depends what their goal is. If their goal is that they think that next year is the year they need to make that jump, then yeah, I agree. But if they think that what would next year, it would be 23, 24. If they think 24, 25 is that year they need to go in, then I could see them getting more young players to add to the young core and try to have them all grow together and jump on the scene at 24, 25. It just really depends, man. We don't know. It really depends what Weaver wants to do with this cap space. Is it vets? Is it win now players? Or is it more young guys absorb that cap space for like maybe a little bit of a bad contract, get more assets with it? We don't know what route he's going to go with it. So and again, like I said, I think what he decides to do with Bojan and Burks will give you a little bit of an idea of what way he's leaning, I think. If we end up with 2, do we really want Scoot? I hate people that say just run K to the 3. Scoot, this is what I want you guys to do. I want all of you guys, if you haven't already, go follow some draft people. Go listen to some draft prospects, or not prospects. Go listen to some draft podcasts and listen to what they say about Scoot. If Wemby wasn't in this draft, Scoot's the generational. There's 2 generational prospects in this draft. Scoot would be going number 1 in just about any draft that's happened over the last 13 years. Like, he's that legit of a generational prospect from what I'm hearing from all these draft guys and all these podcasts I listen to. And if he is that, you 100% draft him, and then you get rid of who you have to get rid of after that. You don't pass up on a generational prospect. You just don't. You can't do that. So I just want you guys to go listen to that. And now, if you watch him and then you guys listen, and you guys think, no, he's being overrated, then okay, you guys can believe that. But from the people I listen to and the people I trust with draft prospects, this dude sounds like a generation. They're saying he's a generational prospect. So you pick him and then you figure it out later. You just figured it out later. I think we need some solid vets who know how to play the right way night in and night out. Yeah, they definitely, no matter what route they take, they need some vets, whether it's like great vets that are playing 30 minutes, 25 minutes, or vets that can just chime in like 15 minutes and can teach them how to play the right way and help them learn how to play the right way. They need more of those for sure, 100%. And it can't be just Kojo who can't play anymore, and Ronnie Magruder who can't play anymore. Like, it has to be guys who can actually go out there and actually play defense. They can't be non-defenders trying to tell guys to play defense. That's like, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. So that's what they need. Give the Pistons 3 years. Yeah, I think 3 years is good. What's up, Mark? What's going on, man? Thank you. Appreciate you. Franz for 2 would be incredible for us. There's no way. Magic aren't moving on from Franz. It's not happening. No way. No way in hell. That's the problem. They love him too much. I'm assuming you're talking about Casey. I mean, look, I have to watch what I say for reasons, but like the only thing I have with Dwayne Casey, this is the question I'll continue asking. This is not the Sacramento Kings, and if Kings fans, if there's a Kings fan in here, sorry, you guys are great. I'm really happy for you guys. I love watching you guys' team, but we are not the Kings. The Pistons have 3 championship banners. They have an incredible history of coaches, some of the best players of all time, Hall of Famers, banners from just not championships, but all-time greats up. Like they have a rich history. What has Dwayne Casey done to deserve like this undying loyalty and this like love for him from Pistons fans and from the community of the Pistons? Like, I don't get why we're expected to have like this relationship with Dwayne Casey as if he like did what Flip Saunders did at least, or Chuck Daly, or Larry Brown, or like he basically has done less than what SVG did, and everyone hates SVG. So I don't. That's my only pushback. That's my question here. That's just my question. That's my question for it. Maybe not a totally fair question, but if we aren't competing for the play-in next year, is it fair to say Troy's run here has been a failure? I think that'd be year 4 for him. So look, this is the thing with Troy when you want to judge him. He has a plan. He has a plan of how and what the timeline of that plan is. We don't know what that timeline is. I think so far, I don't think his 3 years here, he's gotten Cade. He has Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. Those 3 guys, it seems like all the fan base is really high on. So the fact he was able to get them while starting from scratch with basically no one to trade for or trade like Paul George, get assets back to start the rebuild, they didn't have none of that. So he started from literally ground zero from scraps and was able to get Cade, Ivey, and Duren at least, while also maintaining flexible cap space and not doing any hindering moves. So I wasn't really expecting anything from year 3 or the first 3 years from him. Moving on, though, that's when you start judging him from his moves. And I don't think it depends if his goal is to make the play-in next year. Like, if that's their goal next year, then yeah, they need to be competing for it. But I'm starting. The more I hear and the more I watch and you know, just everything I'm understanding. I'm just not 100% sure now that next year is the year they say we're pushing him for the playoffs. Like we're going for the playoffs. I don't know if that's the case. It could be, but I'm not as confident as I was like a month ago when I was saying that. So we just gotta see, and that will determine how you should judge them. No way in hell we get yeah, they're not trading Franz. Kate 100% is going to be extremely dangerous. Yeah, he's going to be a superstar. Magic need a guard and we need a forward. Could be a win-win for us in the Magic. Not for Franz though. They're not. Franz and Paolo are untouchable. They're not going to get rid of either of those guys. Next year could be atrocious. We're going to lose Bogey, which is a huge 3-point loss. But the defense could get better depending on who they replace, and that may be a net positive. Because Casey is down with the tank rebuild, not sure he wants to win. I mean, I think Casey's cool with what they have him doing right now, sure. And Cade's back, but add a new piece to our core while our main ball handler is trying not only to get over an injury, but fight off a sophomore slump. Yeah, that was tough at the beginning of the year. Dwayne Casey looked like he just lost a divorce court every time. Low-key, if we get Wemby and sign a few free agents, we could have a deep squad. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they get number 1, they get Wemby, then yeah, play-ins next year. Like that's going to be the goal next year if they were to get Wemby. But that's a 14% chance right now. Do you think Isaac could still live up to what we saw during pre-injury? You talking about Jonathan Isaac? If you're talking about Jonathan Isaac, 100%. I'm huge on Jonathan Isaac, and I think the Pistons should be really interested in him because the Magic are going to have to give up some of these guys. They can't have all of them. And if they're willing to move on from Jonathan Isaac for a price, he is quite literally the perfect piece of what the Pistons need, exactly what they need. If there's ever a point where it sounds like that he's available, the Pistons should be the main team going after Jonathan Isaac. I'm not joking. That should be, if he's ever made available, he should be number 1. They should go all in for him. Now, that doesn't mean go crazy and like give up first-round picks and everybody for him, but they 100% should be one of the main guys for him if he ever becomes available. Let's bring Dumars back. No, we're not bringing Dumars back. We're not bringing Dumars back. No. Scoot for Franz? No, not happening. We have to get Scoot, folks. He could be better than Cade. Look, we love Cade, and I think Cade's going to be a superstar, but Scoot does have that kind of like potential. That's how legit what people are saying about Scoot. Scoot is like crazy good of a prospect. Crazy. Andre Jones needs to come back. He could help JD. I do think Andre would actually, if he was a veteran, if he wanted to be a veteran and help the guy out, I think he would actually be a really good vet for JD because he went through his stuff. He saw the failures of where he failed at. He could show him where not to fail at and what he needs to do, etc. I trust our front office for the first time in a while. I do trust them. I trust the front office. I trust them too. So Scoot is less risky. Yeah. I don't think Wemby's a risk, dude. I really believe Wemby is like the greatest prospect ever. So are we moving Ivy to the bench in his second year? He's better. I don't think he gets benched. I don't think he comes off the bench unless no, actually no. I don't think he gets benched no matter what. If they bring Scoot, either one they trade him or two they play all three of them together. I don't think there's any universe when you bring him off the bench. Yeah, you take the talent, full stop, 100%. You take talent over fit at this point of a rebuild, 100% every time. In your ideal world, do you take any 3-team deals this deadline for capital high upside guys in exchange? See, that's why I just talked about Brandon because I think that's a possibility, and that's what I'm saying. That's why it depends what they do at this deadline. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I would take on Fournier's contract just to get our first round pick back, so they now can they actually own their first round pick again. That's how the fact that they don't own the Pistons don't own their own first round pick. It hurts them flexibility wise in trades, and they can't do a lot. So if I had to take on Fournier's contract just to get our pick back, our first back, I would do that, and that would be a hefty contract for I think it's 2 or 3 years. But that's something I would do. So I think it's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible, depending on what assets they're getting. What if Scoot turns out better than Cade? Then you have 2 superstars on your team. Not Scoot or Vic. Nice, but nice. I don't know what you mean by that, Mike. Andre Drummond can really help JD bring Big Dre back next season. If Scoot is generational, I feel like the Magic would say yes to Franz then. No, because I think they feel like Franz is really damn good. I think they think Franz is going to be not just all-star great. I think they think he's going to be much better than that. And I can't blame him. He's really damn good. What's going on, Josh? How you doing? Yeah, so it just depends what Weaver's timeline plan is. What is it? We just don't know. Hey, could I have a question? Who do you think is going to be the next NBA dynasty, real NBA dynasty? Because it's pretty unknown as of now. So I think the NBA is at a point right now, I've talked about this on the podcast a lot, that there's a lot of parity in the NBA, and I love that. I think that makes this so much more fun to watch. So I don't know when we'll see the next dynasty, but if I had to take a guess at one, hold on, my wife just messaged me. I'm sorry. If I had to take a guess at one of these to be the next NBA dynasty, I don't know, man. OKC maybe, because they have a lot of prospects. They have SGA, Chet, and they have a lot of picks, so they could add more to it, trade for another star possibly, and then just maybe OKC if everything goes right. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't really see a dynasty right now possibly being formed. What's going on, Banks? What's going on? Tell me one good thing Sadiq is good at. Drawing free throws. I don't know much about Brandon Miller right now. I haven't got into it. We'll get into it in a little bit. Trust me, very soon. I'll give you guys an opinion on that soon. I doubt we get Wemby. Yeah, it's a 14% chance, so it's tough. No, I'm saying Cade will be trying to get over his injury next year while trying to technically play. Oh yeah, no, I don't know. I think Cade's gonna come back 100% next year, but he's definitely probably gonna have some rust to knock off too. Are you sure Cade is the guy to lead this team to a championship? I don't think anyone can say they're 100% sure. That you have to have a lot of luck with that, and a lot of stuff have to go your way. But out of anybody the Pistons have ever drafted, Cade has the best chance. I think he does have a good chance of being that guy for them. I believe in him. So I'm not going to say 100%. You can't say 100% with anything, but I think so. Terrible rotation, no type of offense. He needs to move to the front office. Also, we need to trade with Phoenix Bogey for Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson's another one. Cam Johnson, I think, would be perfect for this team. I'd love Cam Johnson. Bro, Scoot will dunk on anybody, including the cheerleaders and the mascot. Yeah, Scoot's crazy. Kristaps would be available this offseason. He opts out, would be good next to Duren. I like Kristaps. I do think he'd be good next to Duren, but I don't know if he's. I think he might be a little bit older. Unsubscribing from everything is unicorns and rainbows. But here's the thing, Johnny. Look, I'm trying to find a way. I'm going to be trying to find a balance between like being critical and just being real about what's going on, but also be positive because we don't want to sit around and be negative all the time, just hear bad things all the time. We already have to watch the games that are usually bad. We don't need all the negativity. So I'm gonna try to bring some positivity. But yeah, I definitely don't want to be a slappy. You don't need people being slappy to just telling you everything's actually okay when it's not. If you could get Scotty Barnes for 2, would you say yes to that? No. No, I wouldn't. What would you be willing to trade with the second pick for? Like a superstar wing? Thoughts on an OG Anunoby trade? I'd like OG Anunoby. I don't think the Pistons have anything for him. Like I tweeted this today, and it ruffled a lot of feathers. It ruffled a lot of feathers when I said it, but this is just the reality. I feel like a lot of fans don't understand this. If you want a player like OG Anunoby, they're not going to be taking your trash. They want you have to give up good stuff to then get good stuff. And the only thing the Raptors would want is either Jalen Duren or Jaden Ivey. So I posed the question, like, if you want OG Anunoby, which one would you rather give up? And everyone spazzed. It's like, why would you give up on these guys? But it's not giving up on them. It's that if you're asking that you want a guy like OG Anunoby, or if you want to go after a Pascal Siakam or stuff like that, you're not getting them by giving up Sadiq Bey, Killian Hayes, and Isaiah Stewart. Like, it's not happening. You have to give up something really good to get that. So I'm not saying that you give up on those guys, but if you ask that question, you're basically saying, okay, then we're giving up Jaden Ivey or we're giving up Jalen Duren. Like that's what you'd have to do to get something like that. So I don't think a lot of fans want to do that. I don't think any fans are willing to do that. So that's why I haven't really talked about OG Anunoby trade. I don't think a lot of fans would be willing to part ways with either of those guys. But you'd have to do it to get someone like that. Celtics next dynasty if they win this year could be Celtics got a really good team. Pelicans, if Zion stays healthy, I think they need someone else to be like a dynasty. Dynasty is like we're talking about 3-5 championships. Fournier's contract's 1 year next year. And I think 2024 is non-guaranteed. We'll have to let me look that up. Because we did just talk about Evan Fournier like a few episodes ago. Kayla, I see that you're in here. Hello, Kayla. I don't know why you're trolling me in here. Tell mom I said what's up. So next year's guaranteed for Evan Fournier, and then he has a team option for his final year of 2024, 2025. So technically it could just be one more year and then you can opt out. So that's what it is. I'd rather see Marvin Bagley and Stu on the bench than have to watch. Corey Joseph needs to go back to Planet Fitness. Take it easy. Take it easy. Has a team option for 2024. If we don't take that to help us in the future, we are doomed. Yeah, I would do that to get our first round back. What rebuild would you like us to build, like Boston, Cavs, or Memphis? I think Memphis is out of the picture. Because this is something I said with Memphis like a few years ago when people said something when people were asking like what rebuild do you want to model yourself at like 2 years ago. And I said Memphis just isn't possible because Memphis got Ja, who's their best player and is a superstar and MVP candidate his second year already. But along with Ja, they also had Jaren Jackson Jr., who's a defensive player of the year candidate and a damn good player. Like they had those two building blocks that were immediately good, and you could build around them and you could make the playoffs. The Pistons don't have that. They don't have a two building blocks that are immediately impact players, one being an MVP player and one being a defensive player of the year candidate. They don't have that. So Memphis is impossible. You need to start off like that and hit instantly in order to do something like that. Boston, I don't think so because Boston was able to sell off of a lot of good guys to get a ton of picks, and the Pistons can't do that. I think the closest one they can do is the Cavs, and that would require them to swing for a big trade soon. It could be this offseason. It could be next offseason, but eventually when they do that, they're going to be getting rid of some players that you guys all like, and I don't think fans want to hear that right now, so I'm not going to talk about that. But when they eventually make a swing for a big trade, that's going to have to include some players that are fan favorites to get those type of players. That's what has to happen. We like Toxic Coup. No, everyone doesn't like Toxic Coup. Some people like Toxic Coup. Some people like when I go crazy and get negative. But a lot of people then get in the comments and like, oh, stop being negative. And then I get a review that's like, oh, why do I want to hear negativity all the time? I'm already watching that. So it's like, not everybody likes it. I know some people do, but not everyone likes it. And then they come at me for it. So it's like, I don't know. Disappointed in all the Pistons scrubs playing soft. I'm just disappointed in their defense, man. It's tough. Would I consider moving the second pick for Jaylen Brown? I'd consider it, but probably not. I think he's a little bit too older for their timeline. It would have to be someone just as good as this caliber. Yeah, exactly, Mike. At this point, I would be more than willing to send Boyan to New York to get our pick back. That's the only way we maneuver and make any trades. Exactly. That's the thing that I don't. For everyone listening, I'm going to try and make this like a point of emphasis. I have this heating blanket on right now. It's way too hot. It's burnt my chair, and my legs are burning up. My God. All right, let me take. Anyways, I'm going to talk about this on the podcast, but like, they can't. In order to be active in those trades, you have to be able to send off a pick or 2 picks or attach an unprotected pick with some assets. And the Pistons not having rights to that literally makes it. It literally makes it where they're close to unplayable in any trade for like a legit guy. Close to unplayable because they don't own their first round pick. They have some way they have to get that pick back. They have to get that pick back, or they need it to convey soon, so they can actually maneuver in trades. Which is why, like, my main thing would be getting that first round pick back. Like, that's all I want. I just want that so they can actually be players. Royal Arena. What area around Detroit would you recommend for housing? My wife wants to move from the Grand Rapids area. She likes Brian so far. I don't live in Detroit. I live in Metro Detroit. So I live like 10 to 15 minutes up or north from Detroit. I don't know if it's called the suburbs or rural area. I think isn't suburbs like the super rich area of like a city? It's not a super rich area, but it's like I don't live in a super rich area. It's like I don't know. I think it's called rural area of a city. I'm not very smart with all that, but I don't live in Detroit, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Y'all tripping. Andre is durable. Yeah, I mean, I won't have a problem with Andre trying to come back and be a bench player. Cool. Love how much you love talking Pistons basketball. We love to have you on our pod. DM me. I prefer Toxic Cool. Nah, man. Are the Pistons more likely to trade Duren or Ivy? I don't think they're going to trade either. It just depends if like someone becomes available that they really like want. Is it negativity if it's factual though? But it's negative nonetheless. It's like people don't want to hear negativity even if it's like the accurate like description of what's going on. Like people don't want to hear that all the time, and I understand that. So what options do you got for coach replacement? Well, I was high on Jerome Allen, but the defense since he took over has become like absolutely like historically awful. So I don't know about that. I don't know. I just want a young guy. I want a younger coach from outside the organization, from some completely new voice that's innovative offensively. That's what I want. So whoever that is, throw him over here. I have completely appreciated your honesty as hard as it can be to hear, especially the last couple of podcasts, but it's what the reality is right now on this point. Appreciate it. Look, it's tough because like you want to watch what you say. You don't want to be just all negative all the time to fans because again, no one wants to hear it all the time. But I feel like I have a duty to be like, as my job covering this team, like if I was just sitting here being a slappy and telling you guys everything's all right when everything's not all right, I don't feel like I'd be doing my job and being true to you guys. So I do feel like every now and then I have to be just real with you guys and tell you guys where I feel like we're at right now. If Killian learns more moves, he will be a serious problem. He's starting to be predictable in offense. Yeah, I think that's something you're starting to see a little bit too. That guys are kind of sitting on his pull up and it's making things a little bit more tough on him, even though I think he was playing super well before these last 2 games. These last 2 games, he was having his best stretch of the year. He was averaging like 15 and 45 and 38. The thing with Killian, and I'll say this right now, if he can ever, like this offseason, if he can add finishing around the rim and drawing free throws to his game, that's a legit 3-level scorer that is a really good passer and a really good defender. That's pretty damn good basketball play. I don't want to like go too far with it right now, but if he's able to add that, I don't think he'll ever be able to reach the ceiling that people had for him, like the James Harden stuff and that crazy stuff. I don't think he'll ever reach that. But if he's able to improve finishing and draw free throws, if he's able to add that next year, what he's added right now, I think he gets close to the ceiling that other people had. That wasn't like greatest player in the NBA kind of stuff. I think he could get there. It's nice how Casey gets a pass for all this. Maybe he needs Kawhi to win. The team needs to hear negativity. Let people know aren't happy with the product effort on the floor. Yeah, man, I feel you. SGA has probably been the most consistent 30 per game this season. Yeah, SGA is freaking amazing. When does our pick convey as second rounders? It's I think, let me look it up. If I remember correctly, I think it's 2027 that It just conveys to second round picks, and then they have their rights back. Yeah, what I'm looking at right now says 2027, if I'm reading this right. So 2027 is when it just conveys no matter what as seconds, and then they have their pick back, unless they get it back before then or convey as a first before then too. Just haven't seen good Pistons basketball for a while. We're gonna go for probably 10 more minutes, guys. Just haven't seen enough good Pistons basketball for a while now. Like Cade, Duren, Ivy, Boyan, Stu, Bay, Bagley, Livers, Hayes off the bench. I think I don't know. I think like maybe 4 of those guys could make it right. It seems like Killian skip passes are getting telegraphed a lot now. No, I don't think so. I think his skip pass is still working a lot. I just don't think guys hit him a lot. There are honestly a ton of good coaching options. I agree. What's going on, Tone? What's the deal? What's going on, Marvin? What's up? Well, he's shooting before these last 2 games, Killian was shooting 38% from 3 over like his last 20 something games. So like if he was able to, and a lot of his pull up scoring for a good like 2 month stretch. I haven't checked it yet. I'm sure it's completely crashed because of the last 2 games. But I think James tweeted out that he was like in the top 7 like pull up jump shooters. So if he was able to be a pull up jump shooter from mid range, hit threes like he was doing the past 2.5 months, then add finishing and free throw shooting, that's a 3-level scorer that can pass and defend. That's insanely valuable. He was compared to James Harden pre-draft, and it was an insane comparison. I don't know, like, he'll never be able, no matter what happens, he'll never be able to live up to that. But I think there's another level of his ceiling that I do think he can live up to. He just has to improve as a finisher this offseason. That's the only way he can do it. Let's post a coach for Oral Roberts. I don't know who that is. Do you think Stan gave up the pick too quickly with the 2016? Are you saying, do I think the Pistons gave up on Stan too quickly, or do you think Stan gave up on that roster in 2016 too quickly? What's going on, Mike? Are you more excited about our potential for next year or more disappointed about our team this year? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably more disappointed in the team this year. Like, I'm not gonna lie, because the team this year is. I understand Cade's hurt, but with how bad they are, that's how bad they are defensively is unacceptable. Like, that's what has me most disappointed. Like, it's really bad. Like, just to give you guys if those of you guys who are in here haven't heard me say it enough. Like, let me just read you guys how far away the Pistons are defensively from everybody else. Like, they aren't just bad compared to everybody else. Like, their defensive rating is 118.3. The 22nd defense is 114.4. 25th is 114.9. That's 4 points away from the 5 teams away. That's 4 points away. There is a massive gap between the Pistons defense and everyone else. Like, massive gap. That's why I'm probably more disappointed this year. Like, that's just it's unacceptable. I can't believe they're this bad defensively. It's crazy. Stop hanging on Killian. Odiana Nobi wants out. Should the Pistons try to trade for him? Again, I said earlier in this live, if they want OG Anunoby, they're going to give up some players you guys don't want them to give up. So unless you're willing to part ways with Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren for him, then no. I like him. I love him on the team, but I don't think anyone's willing to move those 2 guys or one of those 2 guys for him. If we get Mobley, we have to trade our top 5 pick and Sadiq, which I'm straight on that. I don't know. Killian needs a constant positive voice in his AirPod while also playing. Dude just gets down on himself sometimes when he's horrible. I thought he's done actually a really good job of staying aggressive even when he's not making shots. I thought he's done a good job of that. I think the only time I've seen him get down himself was in that Paris game. You could physically see that he was his misses was getting to him in his home country, and it sucked. But I think that's the only time I've seen it happen lately. Most of Killian's woes definitely falling coaching. He started his career getting weird minutes from Casey, not being able to build his offense. He'll glow up like Middleton soon. And look, this is a take I've had with Killian for a while. If he never gets hurt his first year, I think we're looking at him completely differently. Because basically what he's playing right now is his second season's worth of minutes. So if he was able to have these struggles his first year, then come back his second year and play through those struggles and start to improve on things, you'd see him farther along right now. But he's basically playing second season's worth of games of minutes. So you're seeing the struggles and growth that you would normally have seen in his second year happen right now, which that's where I'm at right now with him. The defense is so bad. Yeah, I know. The team would play better defense. They had a coach who was locked in. I think the coach maybe could get them a little bit better, but yeah. How much better would it be with Cade? Defensively, I don't know how much better. The team overall, a few games better, but not too much. Would I move Sadiq or more for OG? Yeah, 100%. But I don't think that's near enough. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the report, but a team offered 3 first-round picks for OG Anunoby, apparently. The Pistons don't got that kind of assets to give up. Unless you're talking about Sadiq Boyan and Jaden Ivey. Or Sadiq Boyan and Jalen Duren. Like, that's what it sounds like people are offering for OG. I just don't think the Pistons have the capability to do it. I don't remember the defense being as bad last year. Did we? No, look. So for those of you guys who didn't listen to this last episode, listen to this last episode. Or 2 episodes ago, not last one. 2 episodes ago, I talked about what their defense had been the previous 3 years. It was never this bad. And that was one of the biggest positives with Dwayne Casey is that despite the fact that they were losing, they didn't have good talent, all that stuff, he got them to play hard and buy in defensively. Last year, they were 24th in defense. So not great, but they weren't this horrifically bad. The year prior to that one, 2020, 19th in defense. Or 2020, 2021. Then 2019, 2020, defensively, they were 22nd. So they've never been this bad. They've always had buy-in defensively to at least be respectable. It's just this year, it just went off a cliff. It's literally just went way off the cliff. Kayla, take it easy, dude. Take it easy. These Killian Hayes be coming out of nowhere. It is what it is. No Jeremy Grant. Yeah, no Jeremy Grant hurt it a lot. People hate on Killian, who is one of the remotely capable defenders on the entire team. Yeah, he's probably their best. He is their best perimeter defender. Any interest in Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jackson Hayes, or Dyson Daniels? I'm interested in all of them, but I don't think the Pelicans are willing to give up any of them besides Jackson Hayes. The worst part about Dwayne Casey is the fact that he writes his minutes before the game. Yeah, I don't like that either. Sadiq Ivey and a future pick for OG, then draft Scoot. Like if they got the second pick and they know that they have the second pick, I would make that deal. Yes, that me personally, I would then draft Scoot and then trade Sadiq Ivey and a future pick for OG Anunoby. That's what I would do. Because then you got Cade, Scoot, Duren, OG, and you basically just need a 4 now that you can pick up on. And I think then you have a legit squad. And I think maybe it depends. I think you could possibly maybe even get more than OG for Ivy, a future pick, and another young guy. Maybe. Not sure. OG might be the guy you can get with that, but I think maybe you might be able to get more. It depends. Why aren't we playing Noel if our defense is terrible? He doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team, and the Pistons are trying to find a team for him to go to. Okay, we're gonna go for 5 more minutes. Now I'm gonna get up out of here. What's next? I lost my spot. Do you think Bay is available enough to go get Trent if the Raptors are blowing it up? Yes, I would go get. If Gary Trent was on my free agency list, I think it was on last week's episode. I would get Gary Trent if you can. I would give up Sadiq Bey for him 100%. Gary Trent's pretty good, and he plays defense. Yeah, Noah hasn't been great. He's had minutes where like that third quarter, like 2 weeks ago, he dominated defensively, but then he went against Jonas Valanciunas and he just dominated him physically. So it's like, I don't know if he would even help that much with it. He would help a little bit, but I don't know how much. Would you try to get Kuzma off season? I don't think Kuzma's leaving Washington now that they got rid of Rui. I feel like OG is a damn nice player, but we are underrating Ivy's value, saying him and Sadiq is a good deal. Well, Sadiq doesn't have much value. A pick and a young guy is what they would want for OG. So if you think Ivy is way more valuable than just that, then sure. But like for OG, that's like I feel like that's probably what his asking price is right now. Now, if like I say, if you think that you can get more with a package of Sadiq, Ivy, and pick, then I'd love to see it. I don't know who it is. I don't know if they're getting that much better, but I think OG is like in that ballpark. Like for example, Pascal's on the same team. That's not getting Pascal. Like Ivy, probably Ivy, Sadiq, maybe even Stu too, and then like two picks is what it will take for like Pascal. And he was an all NBA player. So if you're like trying to get to that level, then you're talking about even more to try to get him. Like you guys got to keep in mind, you guys know how much like guys have paid for some of these players lately. Like I'm not going to say the Gobert trade because that one was just crazy, but look at some of the trades that have happened over the last, and how much has been given up for these guys. Kuzma is nice for the right price, but he wants the payday. Yeah, I think that's a problem too. No, I don't think they can trade Bagley unless they're attaching stuff to it. Bagley's contract was not good when they did it, and it's not good right now. Our GM would love a brain like Joe D back. to bring some type of fire under the squad, what big man would you rather have instead of Bag and Noel at this point? Any big that wants to play defense. Like literally, any big that wants to play defense and can just catch the ball on a lob and set screens. That's literally all the Pistons need from their big guys. Does nobody remember Dumars trading for Iverson? Yeah, that I remember coming. I was in 5th grade when that happened, and I remember walking home when my friends told me that they traded Chauncey Billups, and I legit started crying. Well, see, like this is the thing with OG is that if you're trading for OG, the reason why he wants out of Toronto is because he thinks he has another level to get to, and he's never going to get there with Toronto because they have guys, taking a lot of volume, a lot of shots, a lot of usage, and he thinks he can even be more than this. I don't want to say kind of like Jeremy Grant, but like kind of like the same attitude. So like, if you're getting OG, it's because you believe that he's right. You believe that, along with the fact he's in one of the best defenders in the NBA, along with the fact he's a near 40% three-point shooter, along with the fact that he's shown a little bit of creation to his game, you also believe him. You believe the same way as him that if you traded for him and gave him a bigger role and more usage, he would then be an all-star or like that. That's basically what your idea is if you're trading for him. That was the whole point. Like if whoever trades for OG, that's their thought process. And if you're not one of those people who believe that, then you don't trade for him because the price would be too much. How good do I think OG is? I think OG is really damn good. I think he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. He's a really good shooter. I think he can create a little bit. And then it just, like I just said, it just depends. Do you believe him? Do you also believe like he does, that if he was given more usage on a different team, he would be even better? Like that's the thought process you gotta have. If you believe that, then you give up that kind of price. If you don't, you stay away from him because the Raptors are gonna want a crazy price for him. Wouldn't mind saying Porzingis. Yeah, I think Porzingis would be a good fit next to Durant. I'm not gonna lie. I think OG could be an all-star. I do. I think he could be an all-star, but you're taking a bet. And then it comes down to, do you even think the Pistons should be taking bets at this point? And that's an argument in of itself too. What's going on, Muteman? Whenever Woodward Sports invites me, man, they haven't invited me. So if you guys want me on there, you guys got to go let them know. Get me on there. All right, I'll take like a few more questions, then we get out of here. A few more questions. Final questions. You have any more? Send them in right now. Like I said earlier, man, I appreciate all of you guys subbing to the channel and tuning in. If you guys could just do one more favor for me, head over to Apple Podcasts. I have gotten the Apple Podcast review. It was at 3.8 when I took over the podcast. We've gotten it up to 4.3, I believe. If you guys could head over there and leave us a 5-star review and actually leave like a review with it, just say whatever, I would really, really appreciate it. We're trying to get that rating even higher than it is right now. So if you guys are able to do that, you guys have an Apple phone, go do that for me, man. I really appreciate it. It's the best. It's the next best way you guys can support the channel in the podcast outside of subbing, like most of you guys have already done. So if you can do that, I'd really appreciate it, guys. All right, final questions before I get up out of here. If Raptors are blowing it up, why would they trade for anything but a bunch of draft picks? That's what I'm saying. That's the problem. The Pistons don't have picks, so that basically takes them out the OG race. But if you want to be in the OG race without picks, like I said earlier, you're then having to give up someone you guys don't want to give up, an Ivy or Durant. Like, that's why I just don't think they're not even really in the sweepstakes at all, because of the fact that they don't own their first. I'd love to get some defenders in Motown Student. Yes, they desperately need some wing athleticism overall in this team, and also wing defenders. Do you think OG is as good as Jaylen Brown? No, he's not as good as Jaylen Brown. I'm sure he thinks he could get there, and if you believe he's kind of like Jaylen Brown at that point and can get there with a bigger role, then you trade for him. I don't know if he can reach Jaylen Brown, though, because Jaylen Brown might be an All-NBA player this year. You do a great job. Thanks, Andy, man. I appreciate it. Drafting another big man with our second pick has to be a reality, too. A sleeper power forward, a wing would be nice. Nah, at the second pick, I think they're getting a scoot no matter what. Third pick, though, I do think then you get definitely a power forward or wing. I think that's when it happens. Do we pick Imani Bates in the draft? I saw Imani went crazy the other night, but no, I don't know if he's even like, what is he right now even pegged as? Is he a first round grade? I don't know right now. I haven't kept up with them in a while. Duren and Cade are the only untouchables. Ivy is also close to untouchable. I really think that Cade's the only untouchable with Duren and Ivy close behind on that list. But even then, like, there's a price so high that you would say yes to. Oh, second pick in the draft. Yeah, no, 100%. No, yeah, I think that would happen too. 100%. 100%. What teams are going to be selling? There's a new team every. This is something I've said to you guys before in the podcast. Every month there's a new team that's selling. Every month there's a new guy that wants out. So the idea that there's never going to be someone next, that's not true. It's just a matter of, is the guy that's currently available, is he the one you want to go after? And that's just what the Pistons have to decide at some point. I don't think OG is it because they don't have they don't have the assets for him. Would you trade one of the young guys to move up in the draft for a guy like GG Jackson? I don't know anything about any draft prospects right now. We're going to get into it soon, though. Second round pick at best for Imani. Yeah, I thought Imani's fallen quite a bit. Duren's gonna be the next D12. Mark that. No, he reminds me a lot of Dwight. What can get us Cam Johnson and Bojan? I think like maybe I think they would have to give up like Bojan, maybe Sadiq, and then Cam and something else. Or maybe Bojan and Burks for Cam Johnson and something else. I think that would get it done. Does the trade the Lakers made for Rui change Bojan's value on the market? No, I don't think it impacts him. I hope the Cam Johnson package is out there still. They can still do it, yeah, but I don't know if the Suns are that. We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But all right, man, we're gonna wrap it up there. Again, if you guys could just head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review, and leave a little review. I really appreciate it. It's the next best way to support the podcast, man. I'm trying to get that rating up to close as possible to 5.0 stars. I would really appreciate that from you guys. Without Bojan, we're getting blown out by 30 every game. I mean, we're getting blown out by 30 every game anyways. And I would actually argue that if you replace Bojan with a defensive wing, it might be a net positive for the team. No, yeah, exactly. Bojan would help any team that like actually has like vets or like older guys that actually are trying to win. But yeah, man, appreciate you guys tuning in, man. We're gonna start I'm gonna try to start doing these weekly, so we'll see. Again, like I said, leave a 5-star review at the podcast on Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys, Bojan and Noel for Cam and Sark. I would take it. I don't know if I don't know if the Suns would take it. Thanks, man. I appreciate Google Podcasts too. Anywhere. But all right, man. I'm gonna get up out of here. Got a game tomorrow. I got an episode tonight, recording with the guest. Stay tuned for that. But all right, we'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. It's a snowstorm in Michigan, so if you're in Michigan, definitely stay safe if you're driving. But we'll see you guys later. I definitely, like I said, I'll keep you guys in the loop for when we're gonna start doing these weekly, so you guys have a time and day for you guys to be ready for every time instead of just random like this. But all right, I'll catch y'all later. Stay safe. Go Pistons. See you guys tonight with the episode with the guest, and enjoy tomorrow's game. See you guys later, guys.